wide stretches of forest on the Gold Coast in British West Africa provide the right surroundings for the cocoa trees, which have been introduced into the country and which flourish there. The pods of cocoa grow on the tree trunks, and when they are ripe, the native farmers break them up and take out the beans, which are dried and shoveled into bags to be dispatched to England. Not many years ago, the Gold Coast had no harbour. All the bags of cocoa had to be carried in surf boats to the ships which lay far out at sea beyond the dangerous bar. Often in the journey, the cocoa got soaked through with salt water and ruined. And although ships came home from the Gold Coast heavily laden, and special cocoa trains ran from the English ports to the factories, yet it was difficult to get enough raw cocoa beans to supply the world with English chocolate and cocoa. So the engineers drew up plans for building a harbour, and science undertook to provide a safe haven, where nature had certainly never intended anything of the kind. The site chosen was at Takoradi, where a native village struggled for life among tropical vegetation. It didn't look as if there could be a harbour there, but the harbour had been planned, and before long, the plans began to be carried out. Rivers called for bridges to be built. Valleys needed viaducts across them. So the railway was finished from Takoradi through the forest, and down came gangs of workers from inland to the site of the harbour. The payday queue was a sight worth seeing. And in case any of them didn't know what to do with the contents of their pay envelopes, a typical West African market sprang up to help remove any superfluous cash. Then the steam shovel started in on the foundations of the harbour. Far inland, the quarries began to get busy. And so, the stone came down to the coast to build Takoradi harbour. For a long time, it seemed impossible that this wild coastline could ever be turned into a safe port. But the work went steadily forward. The native village of Takoradi was replaced by a modern town complete with a hospital, with a water tower, with an up-to-date railway station, and with first-class roads. The quays and go-downs were completed, the lights were placed, the long breakwater stretched far out to sea. And Takoradi Harbour was built at last. The Atlantic still does its worst, but man has defeated the sea. Now the native farmers work with new hope at the cocoa harvest. The ships are loaded up easily at the quay side, and now the bag of cocoa beans flow fast into the factories of England. Englishmen and Gold Coast workers toil together to produce chocolate and cocoa. And behind the breakwaters of Takoradi, the little farmer defies the Atlantic.